All right, hello everyone. Welcome to our Instagram Live. I'm here with our owners, David and Brett, and they are going to be answering some of your questions. If you guys have anything that you really want to ask them, please drop it in the comments and I will make sure to ask. Hello, Nadia. Thank you for joining. I do have some questions that I want to start off with just to get things rolling. All right, first up, can you guys tell us the famous story? What inspired you to start a camper van company, and how did you turn your vision into a reality?
All right, this is our first live.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting.
Thanks for joining.
Yeah.
So hopefully we do this right. What are you drinking in that cup?
Something to loosen the nerves.
Okay, cool. All right, so the famous story, for those who haven't heard it, it's actually just comes from experience, right? So we, back in 2018, Southwest started flying direct from Phoenix to Maui, and the intro tickets were super cheap. And so I thought, hey, what a great way to surprise my girlfriend at the time. We'll get a couple tickets, we'll go to Hawaii, and it'd be great, right? Super cheap tickets, so we bought them. As we're kind of looking now at this trip, where we're gonna stay, we realized this is not gonna be a cheap vacation. And so started looking into other ways to have a cheaper vacation on Maui, and we came across the idea of exploring in a camper van. So shout out to North Shore Vans on Maui. I think you guys are still around. We rented an older Dodge van and picked it up from the airport. I think we were there for 5 nights, and the trip felt like it was 2 weeks. It was a really cool experience to travel that way, explore the island. We did Road to Hana, we did the volcano. We really saw every nook and cranny of the island in just a short amount of time, but it felt much longer. So it was a really cool vacation, felt super inspired. Came back to Arizona and said, hey, I really want one of these selfishly for us to travel Arizona in. And the problem was I didn't know how to build a van, and we didn't have money to really make this project happen. So call up Brett. What were you doing when I called you?
Probably working a regular job. Pretty boring sales job. Now, I was doing manufacturing, like capital equipment sales. So my background is in manufacturing. So that's why David hit me up.
Yeah, I hit him up. I was like, who can help me build one of these vans and help fund it? And we had beers and dinner one night, and I said, hey, what do you think of this idea? We can rent the van out to help pay for it. We can kind of split the van. We both like to camp a lot. And he said, hey, I'm in. I'm down to help a buddy. So I think just like 2 days later, we bought an old 2005 van we called Stevie, and we spent nights and weekends building that thing out.
Yep.
And I think it took us about 6 weeks or so.
6 weeks.
And put it up for rent. You know, in the meantime, we were building out a website and trying to get more people to see our rental van, rent it, try to make our money back. And turns out we did quite quickly. And that just turned into buying another older van to rent, build out and rent. And a few months later, people asked if they could buy a van from us. And so it just kept evolving, and it turned into what we're sitting in front of today, which is, a manufacturing company that builds, rents, and sells camper vans. And we've built now hundreds and hundreds of vans.
Yeah, we're close to 400, right?
Yeah. And now we're doing a live. So we made it.
Amazing. Yeah, Steven says, love the grassroots story. Yeah, I think it's really cool too, and inspiring for anyone who is wanting to start their own business someday.
It was, David and I, like you said, came from a passion of just liking to do the outdoors adventures. And, with that, the company has only ever naturally grown as well. We've not really taken on any big investors besides, spoiler alert, Barbara from Shark Tank. But that was getting on the show was just more we saw just an advertisement, and a promotion that we were hoping that it would just air, it didn't really necessarily matter to us at the time because we were still not looking at taking on investment from people. We always wanted to have a naturally growing company, and it's always been that way ever since the beginning. So
moral of the story, start your business on a credit card like we did. It's going to turn out for you, I promise. I'm just kidding.
That is true. No, yeah, so really foot and mouth on that, I guess, because you did.
I put everything on a
you had
credit
15
card,
months to pay it off.
$10,000, but it worked out, and thankfully it did, or who knows.
Yeah, that's awesome. Hey everyone, if you're just joining and you have any questions for Brett and David, feel free to drop them in the comments and I'll get to them. I have another question for you guys. Can you walk us through the process of buying a Boho van for someone who's interested in a new build out?
Yeah, so what you're going to do is you're probably maybe going to see us through a stream like this or social medias or however you find us. You're then going to call in or you're going to email in. And kind of how it starts is we just want to know what type of van you want to build on, right? So whether you want to work with a Ram ProMaster or a Mercedes Sprinter or a Ford Transit, we just kind of choose your chassis, and from there it goes into one of our many layouts that you can choose. There's some customizable features that we get to go over because the process for us is really that we're trying to achieve building something that is for somebody in particular, right? So we want you to be invited into your Boho van by choosing your own backsplash or choosing kind of different treatments for the wood, stuff like that. After that, you actually get a 3D model of what your van's gonna look like. So you can kind of get a really good concept of how it's gonna go. If you haven't just kind of chosen from one of the ones that we have many, many photos of, and Sienna's been so great to help with and promote for us. So we kind of take that on as well as trying to really be very forthcoming as far as how the vans are put together for quality's sakes and just what the process looks like throughout the socials. So that will probably help you through that process a little bit. But then let's say you go through all these processes, we know what van you want to do, we know what layout you want to have, you've signed off on it. Then it's we just kind of get down to payments and stuff. So we're putting 10% down to go onto the schedule. And then at the time of your build, a few weeks before, we're just collecting another 50% and then another 40% before you are able to pick the van up.
Yeah, it's really just about understanding your travel needs, right? Are you a solo traveler? Are you traveling with a family? Are you working on the road? Are you retired? How tall are you? How wide are you? All these things are important for layout and chassis size because they all have their pluses and minuses. So it's just really understanding, and from our experience, we like to help share what we think would be best for you, because everybody's got different needs, right? And different budgets. They live in different areas. They travel very differently. So it's just really kind of understanding what your end goal is, because it's certainly very overwhelming to try to piece this all together. So we see ourselves as a true partner with you to build out this van of your dreams, this next chapter in your life. However you want to, however you see it, we're here to help and just offer a helping hand and build exactly what's right for you.
Right. And that's a very good point, because that's a pretty blanketed statement, right? Just choose your chassis, but we get to work through that, like David's saying. Yeah. So if you say, I really need 4-wheel drive, well, then we have, either it's a Ford or a Mercedes, and like height requirements, length requirements, all that good stuff. That's just part of the tailoring to it, and we can just make the suggestion towards, what your build out could entail. And like basically a lot of it goes from previous experiences that we've had with other clients that, just kind of lend into, how that functionality can come together.
Amazing. I do have a question from a viewer. Will I be buying the actual van from you, or do I get it from a Sprinter dealer and delivered to you?
Yeah, so we will help facilitate. If there's a specific dealership that you like to work with, the quick answer is yes, you will be the one owning that van. So we'll just say that. But we definitely can help that whole process. So we have connections with Mercedes, Ford, and Ram dealerships here in town that we can make sure that we can kind of maybe remove some of the car salesmen out of the car salesman. They know what we want by working with these certain dealers. We're not making any money on the chassis of the van, but what we're helping with is do like the things that we want, maybe a more powerful alternator for charging systems, and creature comforts in the front of the van that'd be tailored more towards you and worked with the dealer. But then them knowing that they're not really adding anything behind the seats because we want a bare chassis to work off of. So to save you money on that, like that you're not adding floorings in or wall coverings in that we technically would just be throwing away during the build process. So we also want to make sure that we're saving money at the upfront cost of the build as well.
There is an alternative answer to that because we do build we have a rental fleet, and we do sell those vans used after 1 to 2 years of use.
Yep.
And in that situation, you would be purchasing the van and the build all as one package together, right? So usually with new builds, there's a two-step process. There's the purchase of the chassis, which we help with, and then there's the purchase of the conversion, which obviously we do in-house. But then on the used side, it's all one package.
Awesome. All right, how do you ensure that clients have a seamless and enjoyable experience from the moment they inquire about a camper van to when they pick up the finished product or return their rental after the trip?
It really just comes down to communication. That is the key word. It's, it could be email, it could be phone. We're definitely checking in on everybody at all times, whether it's on the rental side or on the purchase side. When you're out in one of our vehicles, we want to make sure you're having a good time, you feel comfortable. We do have, 24/7 roadside assistance with all of our rentals. So that's really great to be able to implement on those rare occasions you need it. So we do know where you are, not in a creepy way, but more of a helpful way to know, hey, if somebody really needs help on the road, we can offer that to you. But outside of the rental fleet, it's just really making you feel comfortable, whether it's picking up the phone when you call, whether it's displaying what we can do and what we can offer via the images and the details on our website. If you haven't been there, there's a lot of information on there. So it's just really making you feel comfortable and supported throughout the entire process. And we also do, a user guide when you pick up your van. It's always kind of updating and changing. So we're happy to clue you in on new features or how things may work. But these are machines, and they're 99% perfect, right?
Yep.
But there's certainly issues that do arise, and we are very happy to pick up the phone. It's usually Brett, myself, or 1 or 2 other guys here. So it's a small team that just loves to offer support, and that's really why a lot of people like working with us. We're super easy to get a hold of, and we love to help.
Awesome. What makes our camper vans stand out amongst others?
I think the biggest thing that we're known for is a very high quality of craftsmanship. So there's a couple things that when Dave and I started the company, to go all the way back to that kind of stuff, is that we saw that and known from using RVs and campers and stuff in the past, they're a little bit of a black eye in the market, RV market I should say, for bad quality and maybe suspect service. And so we just said, hey, let's just kind of flip that on its head and just use really high quality, materials, along with really high quality components. So that's been a really big thing for us, and the partnering we've done with the actual componentry that goes in the van, like Battleborn batteries. We also use Victron components for charging solutions, a number of other things that are just really, really high quality in the marketplace. When you kind of do some research, you find that they pop up and again as having really good regards for either good warranties or just really great customer service. And that's how we've always established our company is, if something goes wrong, how do we handle it? How fast can we handle a problem that would come up? So I think that's a big part of giving customer satisfaction, along with a high quality product. Let's say something does break, and inherently that can happen. Following up with superior service is what we try to bring to the table as well.
Awesome. No, yeah, that totally makes sense. Let's see. I have a question from a viewer. When it's time to purchase my Sprinter, do I need to come to the dealer in Arizona, or can it be done remotely? So with that one,
it's funny that's a Sprinter that you're asking about, because we actually had a Mercedes Sprinter that we built out. It was like it was a high roof and like one of the longest ones they built. So I think it was like 23 feet long or 24. They said that they were very excited to see their van for the first time. We're like, oh, of course, we're going to show you your build up. And they were like, no, they literally had not seen it They purchased it from another dealer. There wasn't one that we worked with, but they purchased it from a dealer, I believe it was out of Colorado, but state doesn't really matter. They hadn't seen it. They just had it shipped directly to us. And then the first time that they were actually seeing the van was the first time in the showroom over here, and them walking into it. I think there was some tears on that day.
Yeah,
sure. You know, there are always tears of joy. So it was really good because they're really stoked about their extended travels that they're going to be able to have. But you do not need to physically be down here acquiring the vehicle or having the vehicle shipped to us. We can facilitate and aid, and if there's any questions that a dealer might have for us that you need to answer, that's what we're here for. We're here to jump on a phone call and create any, bridge any gaps and clear up any gray areas that we can make sure everything very, very apparent to what you're getting, what we're receiving, when we receive it. We do inbounding of vehicles. We do a whole walk around. We actually do photos, and like, let's say that there was a chip in a windshield from transportation or a dent or something like that. It's all part of our onboarding process of receiving your van. And so we either get to go back and talk with that dealer, or we talk with that shipping company, and we make sure that your product is perfect how you expect it to be, and there's no surprises at the time you pick it up.
Only about 10 to 15% of our clients for builds are local Arizona residents. And so we've worked with people even overseas, London, England, Mexico, Canada. We have vans in Hawaii. So we've been working with people all over the country and even the world to some extent on their build. And really it just goes back to communication, making sure you feel up to date on what's happening, very clear understanding of what we're about to do, right? That's all very, very important, and we have a lot of experience in it. So you're certainly not any different than most of our clients.
Very cool. Can you guys share a memorable customer experience that highlights the impact Boho had on people's adventures?
So this is a tough one because there's a lot of experiences, and I'm just trying to think of the ones that stand out. I mean, we've had people do honeymoons, we've had people get married on a rental trip, proposals, baby moons, but I would say, there was one in particular that just stands out. And so when we post and share our vans on our website, under the gallery, each van has a name, and then we kind of have a little bit of a story, or a little bit of details on who we built the van for. So there was a van we built for a couple named David and Stephanie, and we posted it, months went by, and we got a call from a woman named Stephanie, and she said, I really want to work with you guys. I've been wanting to do this for a while. Here's my story. And her story was, she had a husband named Dave, so they were Dave and Stephanie, and he had unexpectedly passed away. And so she said, I was reading this story about the other Dave and Stephanie, and I was just really inspired. I felt like it was a sign to work with you guys, because when her Dave passed away, right before, he said, hey, I want you to keep living your life. I want you to still travel. And they had been previously traveling in a large RV.
Yep.
And so she said, hey, this is my way to travel. It's much easier as a solo female. This is, just the names alone have inspired me to do this. And so when she eventually picked up her van, that was a very teary afternoon.
Yeah.
Broke down, she was just so overwhelmed with emotion from finally doing this. And she's been traveling, she's been kind of living this next chapter in her life, kind of call it in memory of her ex-husband or her late husband. And so she's just been beyond thrilled to be able to kind of keep living life, and just for us to be able to facilitate that is just unreal. We also, on a funnier side, there was one of our first builds was for a man named Jerome.
Oh yeah.
And we actually put a foosball table in his van. Maybe you've seen this one on our website, but
the golden egg.
Yeah, the wild one. So he was so excited to just go literally full-time travel, and he's been on the road now 5-6 years full-time.
Yeah.
But the first year or so, he was out just enjoying his van, and he slipped and he broke his neck.
Yep.
Do you remember that?
Yeah, I remember that.
And
It's
he,
like going like a riverbed.
yeah, and so didn't stop him from continuing to travel, and he still comes in. He's just happy as a clam. his posture has changed a little bit, but it hasn't affected him. But it's just an older gentleman that just is, living his best life, for lack of a better term, even with, breaking his neck and moving on from it, and just still saying, just life is so great.
Yeah.
I love traveling in my van. So we still, talk to Jerome about every year. He swings by Arizona, usually in the winter.
Yep.
But there's just countless examples of stories, and I don't know, we probably talk all day about those.
I mean, there is just a bunch of stories of that where people, another couple that's actually local here in town, one of the few locals that we have that have purchased from us, but where her husband, he's kind of losing his sight, so like the first thing that they want to do is get on the road and see as many of the national monuments and stuff like that. It's a lot of these like really kind of like heart pulling memories that they're trying to sink in before certain things happen, and those are the ones that kind of stand out to you, that you're really facilitating things that are adding to people's quality of life. And instead of having it where you're just like, oh, we're just trying to make a van for somebody that maybe just wants to go skiing or this or that. Those are always fun because we get cool pictures from people on the hills and like doing barbecues and grilling out behind their van and having fun and enjoying it. So we always love all those as well. But I think the most memorable ones are always the ones that really kind of you get a little emotional over.
It's
for
emotional.
Sure.
Yeah. It can be emotional.
Yeah.
We're not super emotional people,
No.
but how can you not be? This is Fendi.
Hi, Fendi. She joined us.
Any questions for her?
I know. She's ready to answer. Those
Yeah.
stories are great, guys. As we kind of wrap up this live, I want to give people an opportunity to drop any last-minute questions in the comments while I ask some fun questions for you guys. So, first one is, which camper van feature from our show van Delray would you want in your actual house?
Ooh, I got an answer. So the show van has just a massive off-grid battery system, 13 kilowatt hours of lithium power, powered by I think 1,000 watts of solar on the roof.
Yep.
So we live in Phoenix. I always worry, what if the grid goes down? So I'd love to have an off-grid, powerful electrical system to run the AC when maybe shit hits the fan. That would be really cool to have. So that'd probably be my favorite. But I don't know if you have one in there like.
Yeah. Well, I mean, every house has air conditioning and heat, and that van exemplifies like the top of the mountain with what you can do with air conditioning and heat because of that power supply that we have in there. Some of the cool things that were fun for us were like some of the epoxy pours, the lighting that we have in there as well. It's these Cobb addressable LEDs, so we get to have a little bit of fun with that. I think some of those like little off the wall kind of features that we were able to do, those are the more fun ones because maybe you wouldn't have it in your house, but since it's a van, you get to make it a little bit more loud and a little bit more adventurous. So those are some of the features that really kind of stand out to me.
Love it. Viewer question, can you please talk about the quality of Starlink functionality when attached to rooftop?
Yeah, we have many people that are actually like working out of their van and traveling around the country and throughout other countries, right? So one of them, it was a Mercedes Sprinter build, and she works full time out of her van, and Starlink, and this is just like a testimonial from many customers that actually have Starlink. Zero interruption in service. The benefit of the Starlink as well is that you can pay for a subscription 1 month, and then you can not pay for it the next month. Like you can turn it on and off as needed. So it's actually been, on top of just even being on top of the vans and rigid mounted, I think is maybe the concern for you. That we have not heard from any of our clients that's been a limiting factor, that maybe it can't articulate to go and catch a signal. Once it's locked on, it seems to be pretty bulletproof as far as providing high-speed internet.
I mean, they have Starlink now in the Solomon Islands, which is wild, and it works. And this is the first time some of these native tribes have ever had internet.
Yep.
And I don't know if that's a good or bad thing. You can read the news about that, but it definitely works in remote locations.
Yes.
Awesome. All right. What's your go-to snack for long road trips in the van?
Beef jerky, some sort of beef stick. We're from Wisconsin, so like that's just in our DNA. We went to a Buc-ee's recently. That was our first time at a Buc-ee's. Anybody been there?
Yeah.
They got a whole beef jerky wall, and I wouldn't say it was my favorite jerky. Maybe I got the wrong kind. What was it? A maple cherry or something?
Yeah, you got maple cherry, and I got
Yeah.
the jalapeno, and then we got like the steak bites. Beef jerky is definitely a good one. If you're looking for savory, I think I don't buy it enough when I hit road trips. But whenever somebody has Mike and Ike's, love those stupid things. Absolutely.
Love it. Lots of love for Fendi on this channel right
Oh,
now.
yeah. Oh, what are you doing?
What took you so long to hop
I
up on
know,
that?
she's the star.
Just being a bad dog.
All right, last question from me. If you could convert any vehicle into a camper, what would it be?
Probably like I mean, it's already kind of a camper, but I'm thinking like a human-powered drone. A helicopter. I mean, it'd be cool to be able to. So in Wisconsin, we have these things called the Wisconsin ducks. You know what I'm
Yep.
talking about?
Yeah.
And they're like these amphibious vehicles that can go on land and then go into water. That'd be pretty cool because then you wouldn't be limited by the roads, right? You could get off on the ocean for a little bit or a lake. I think I would convert a Wisconsin duck.
That's so
Yeah,
creative.
that's a good answer.
Yeah.
That's a good
Right?
answer.
All right, Brett.
Do
what
I
you
have one?
think?
Anything other than a van, huh?
Yeah, it could be a spaceship, a tank.
Spaceship, a tank. Yeah, I guess everyone's worried about the apocalypse right now. You building a tank, but I think, God, if I had to think about it, you want space, right? So when you guys end up looking up these Wisconsin ducks, it's basically like you just cut the top of a school bus off and make
Yeah.
it so like the bottom of it's a pontoon boat.
Yeah.
That's a pretty good one, man.
Yeah, that just came off the top of my head.
Yeah,
I was thinking amphibious.
I think seeing that we have worked on them, like the larger 6x6 chassis, Smith and Stevenson's chassis is like one of them. Yeah, you need attention. In like some of those larger chassis that like are pretty, they got like the really big tires and stuff. Maybe it's not as functional as as the vans are, and we've kind of seen when we've driven them around the parking lots after we worked on for customers, but just kind of being a little bit more of a badass thing. That'd be kind of cool to have, I guess.
Yeah.
So
Go
cool.
anywhere really.
Yeah.
Small places.
Yeah.
Well, great job, guys. I don't see any other viewer questions. For everyone who joined our live, thank you so much for tuning in. We will repost this live for you to watch back later on our page. Any last words from you guys?
Thanks for tuning in.
Yeah.
If you guys liked it, we'll probably do it again.
Awesome.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you,
everybody.
guys. Have a great day.